Hi Stampers, this is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Today I'm going to show you how to use sponges to color the rose garden thinlet shape that you see here. I actually have a customer that asked me how to color the shape without having to stamp on it. So that's what we're going to do today. So the stamp set we're using, and that's only for the sentiment, is the Rose Garden stamp set. As you can see, this coordinates with the die cut. And I keep my die cuts right inside. And the one we're using today is this one. So normally when I'm done, I would just put it here on the magnetic sheet and put it away. And it's there for me to use when I need both of the coordinating products. So if you want to replicate this card, I used Blushing Bride as my card base. And then for my banner, I used Rose Red, and that's the ink colors that I use. So if you want to do it the same color, you need Blushing Bride and Rose Red. But today we're going to use different ink colors just to show you a variety of how you can color the rose. So for ink colors, we're going to be using Hello Honey and So Saffron. So you can tell we're going to have a yellow rose, which is my favorite flower. For the leaves, we're using Garden Green and Wild Wasabi. And you're also going to need sponge daubers for each color. And as you can see, I label mine so that I know what color I'm using, and I don't ever clean these. I also wanted to mention that the stamp set and the die cut are in the Occasions 2016 catalog. You can see the stamp set at the top here that you can buy separately. And you can also buy the framelits separately, or you can save 15% by buying both items together as a bundle. For cardstock, we're using a piece of So Saffron, 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, scored in the center at 4 1/4, and that should be a 4, not a 1. Hello Honey for the banner, 1 inch by 3 inch. And instead of black for the background, I'm going to be using Crumb Cake from the Neutrals paper stack, 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And to save time, I've gone ahead and cut one of the flower die cut images using Whisper White. And one thing I wanted to mention, if you look at this, there's a lot of little pieces there that need to pop out. The easiest way to do that is by purchasing the Big Shot die brush. All you need to do when you run this through the Big Shot is lay the die down with the flower inside, and then you just run this over and all of the pieces pop out. So much easier. We are also going to be using Pearl Jewels, your bone folder, fine tip glue pen. This is the easiest way to glue something so intricate, is by using the fine tip glue pen, and some snails. So let's get started on the project. So what I'm going to do first is just prepare all the layers. So we'll fold the So Saffron in half and glue down the Crumb Cake. And for the banner, we're going to use Garden Green to stamp the sentiment. And I'm going to stamp it over to the right so that I can cut my banner shape, and more towards the top so I can add the pearls on the bottom. Now the easiest way to cut a banner shape is to snip in the center and then start in one corner and work your way up, and go to the other corner and work your way up. See how simple that was? I'm not going to glue this in place right now because it's going to have to overlap a little bit on my flower. I'm going to bring in my pearls, and I'm using the string. I'm just going to put that right here just to give me an idea where I need to cut the pearls. And And we'll remove those with a paper piercer and try to put them on here as straight as we can. Usually if you work at one end and start pressing down to the other end, works a little bit easier. So there's your pearl. Now we're going to move on to our sponging. So I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper, and we'll start with the yellow. So we have So Saffron and Hello Honey. And I'm going to start with the lightest color first, which is the So Saffron. And I'm just going to carefully add color. And make sure that you notice where your leaf meets the rose so that you can kind of draw a line there, so you don't go over to where it should be green in color. See how easy this is? And you can make this rose any color you want. Yellow rose happens to be my favorite. Okay, so we've got the So Saffron on there, as you can see how easy that was. Now we're going to add the Hello Honey in the center because I want my center to be a little darker. It just gives it some shading at the same time. Okay, so now we've got the lighter and the dark for the yellow. Now we're going to move on to the green, which is the Wild Wasabi and the Garden Green. So again, I start with my lighter, which is the Wild Wasabi. Try not to get any on the yellow. So you just kind of have to make an imaginary line there where both colors meet. And, whoops, get that dirty. Now you can see where I've added the Wild Wasabi against the yellow and see how that kind of just blends together. Now we're going to add a little bit of highlight to the green with the Garden Green. And I just want this in the center, so I just keep adding until I feel it's dark enough. So for this one, it has a cluster of 3 leaves, so I'm going to add the dark color 3 times, 1 for each leaf. I'm just kind of rolling on this one. Okay, so we get, see how good that looks? So that's all there is to adding color to this die cut. Pretty easy. And now we're going to add some glue. So I'll bring in another scrap just so I don't get ink all over. And if you haven't used this glue, this is the fine tip glue pen. This does open at the bottom, but that's not where you want. You want to unscrew it where the white cap is. So hold on to the black and unscrew the white. And you'll see that there's a little pin there on the end. That actually gets inserted into this cylinder so that the glue doesn't dry on you. And you need very little. This comes out fine, and I just kind of dab it on. You don't really have to trace the whole thing. And this glue does not dry as fast as the Tombow glue, so it does give you a little bit of time to play. So you have time to get it on there. So you can see I'm just kind of dabbing it on. You could trace it if you want, but I don't feel that you need to put it across all of these lines. And it's a good idea to use a scrap underneath because it does sometimes come out a little too fast. Okay, now when you're ready to put this away, the easiest way to do it is to lay the cylinder part over your finger and line this up. It will take you a couple tries sometimes, like it is now. See, I've got it in there, and then just push and screw it back on. Make sure you do this right away after you use it so it doesn't dry up on you. I'm going to bring this one back in. Make sure I glue this right side up. I did have it upside down. And we're going to add this to the card. Now what I usually do is position it where I want, and then I take a piece of scrap and I just rub over it just to flatten it. And like I said, it doesn't dry as quick as the Tombow, so you do have room to play there a little bit. Okay, so that's on there. Now all that's left to do is to add the sentiment. And I'm adding this so it's even with the edge of my card. And there you have it, 2 different looks by using 2 different inks. And you may have to go back and press on this as it's drying. But isn't that a neat technique and a neat way to use the die cut? I'm not sure which one my favorite is. But anyway, if you'd like to order any of these supplies, I'll have the link to my online store at the end of my video. And thanks so much for stopping by today.